everyone, Jexi here. Welcome back to another video. So in this video, I thought I'd discuss a little bit about what it's like to watch people succeed in recovery. The real joy it is to watch somebody go from struggling in active addiction to getting a little bit of clean time and starting to live a new way of life. Before I start this video, there's a really important announcement I have for anybody who lives in the state of New Jersey. In the state of New Jersey, on June 18th, in every county, different pharmacies will be giving away Narcan on a first-come, first-served basis. It costs no money. There's nothing you have to do. You just have to show up at the pharmacy. This is being put on by the state. They're trying to get everybody who possibly can get it Narcan, so that people are carrying it. So whether you're an addict yourself, you know somebody who's an addict, you know nothing about addiction, or nobody who's an addict, you should still pick up a thing of Narcan. You never know when it may save a life. And how amazing would it feel if you had if you had Narcan in your purse and you're shopping at the grocery store and over the loudspeaker somebody shares, "Please, if anybody has Narcan, can you come up to the front?" And you're able to go up to the front and save a life. That's what's happening in today's society. And by having Narcan on you, you can literally be a person's hope to be able to be okay long enough to get to a hospital. So even if you don't know anybody, chances are you come across people who could potentially overdose on a regular basis. Most people hide addiction fairly well if they're not super crazy. And the amount of fentanyl that's being put in all sorts of drugs, it's not so crazy to think that someone may overdose without realizing it's going to happen to them. So please, June 18th, there's a website. I'll link it down below. Check it out. Find your local pharmacy and, go as early as you can. And you really can save a life. So on the other side of that, what I wanted to talk to this video today was something that I had seen happen today that made me really emotional, but in a good way. I was at a 12-step recovery program meeting today, and 2 people celebrated a full year clean. That's off of everything. No alcohol, no drugs, nothing. And seeing the happiness and joy in their faces. Now, I remember when they had 1 day clean, when they first came in and they were struggling, and it was really hard. Look, recovery is not easy, and I watched the struggle, right? And you hope, whenever you see somebody in early recovery, you hope so much that they can stick with it. One of the things I love about recovery is that we all want to see each other succeed. We're not in competition with each other. We all lift each other up, and we're hoping that the next person can get it too. And we do everything we can to support them in their journey so they too can experience recovery and freedom from active addiction. Living a life of a using addict is so hard. And no using addict who's struggling thinks that it's great. They just don't know that there's other options. And seeing people who went from struggling, really struggling, talking about one of these people actually had to see her best friend in the whole world overdose. And yet, she's got a year clean. I remember the other person who came in, they weren't even sure they wanted to stay clean. They just thought that if they were in recovery long enough, they could figure out a better way to use successfully, right? I think a lot of people who come into recovery think that. And yet, both of these people, both of them, are now celebrating a year clean. And the joy that I feel watching that is hard to explain. Oftentimes we talk about the horrors of active addiction. We see people struggling and we just want them to make it. We see families torn apart. We see, marriages fail. All these awful things. But when we get to see people succeed, when we get to see people work a recovery program and actually start doing well, it just gives me hope, right? It gives hope to other people out there who are still struggling that recovery is possible no matter who you are, no matter what age you are, no matter where you come from. There's no prerequisites to getting clean, right? Nobody gets to tell you whether you have a problem or not. Only you do. But here's some things I would ask. If you're unsure if drugs are a problem for you, and who knows, some people can use successfully. I'm not here to judge. But if you're curious as to whether or not you're an addict, ask yourself some things. Is drugs controlling your life? Well, what does that mean? Are you spending your money on drugs when you should be spending it on other things? Has your life become completely unmanageable? Do you spend most of your day trying to seek out the next time you're going to get drugs? Do you sit in parking lots for a really long time or put your kids in the car and drive to dangerous places to get drugs? If you do any of these things, you might be an addict. Does your drinking or using cause stress in your home? Does your spouse constantly tell you that you're drinking too much or doing some sort of drug too much? Are you taking more and more than you wanted to get that same feeling? If any of this stuff sounds familiar, then maybe you are an addict. And all I would say to this is check out recovery. Even if you don't think it's for you, even if you think that I don't need it, I don't have that kind of problem, check it out. Listen to other people who are in recovery, listen to other addicts who are in recovery, and see if you can relate. Excuse me. If you can't, then that's all right. Then maybe you don't have a problem. But if you can listen to other people and their stories and where they are now, if you can relate, then maybe you'd find hope in recovery also. I thought I was a successful using addict for a long time. I held down a job, I was a mom, I did a lot of things, but I really got to the point where every minute my thought process was occupied on how much drugs do I have? When am I going to get more? Do I have enough money to buy them? Who am I going to call? How am I going to get them? This is an awful way of life. And to see other people, because sometimes we don't see the growth in ourselves, right? Like, yes, I've been clean for 6.5 years, but I don't always see the growth in myself. Sometimes I can, but on a regular day, no. But I can see the growth in other people very, very clearly. And seeing people come from struggling to having a year clean is the most incredible feeling. And I really hope that that's something you guys get to experience. We talk so much about people who have overdosed and how hard it is to watch people overdose and die and how sad it is and stressful. But what we talk about so much less is watching people get better. Because people do get better. Not every addict has a tragic end. A lot of addicts have really great stories going forward once they got into recovery. And so one of the things I want to do with this channel, especially moving forward, is my goal for creating this channel from the beginning has always been to kind of break the stigma of addiction and recovery. So how do we do that? So one of the things that I really want to do is start promoting people to be less afraid to share out loud that they're in recovery. I also don't think families who have an addict who's battling with addiction should have to be shamed by that. Look, you see somebody who, when you ask them, oh, how are you? And they're like, oh, some family member was diagnosed with cancer and, it's really rough and we're doing what we can for them. And there's a sympathy there, right? Imagine if you could ask somebody how they're doing and they tell you, oh, my son's battling with addiction, that people had that same compassion. With the stigma that currently exists, that compassion isn't always there. By coming out of the darkness and bringing addiction and recovery into the light, we can stop having addictions and recovery be such a shameful thing. We can open up and let people know, like, hey, I used to have a problem with drugs and I don't anymore. There's just, we get so excited when we see people who have battled with cancer and come out the other side. Addiction is just as deadly. So we should be proud of those who battled through the hardest part of their addiction and are living a life clean from drugs. We should be proud of them. I know I am. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. it felt good watching people celebrate success. And it doesn't mean that every person who gets clean is always going to stay clean. Relapse is an issue for many. But just for today, those people are experiencing a new way of life. And all suffering addicts have that opportunity. Some just don't know that it's there. But if we're more open about recovery and addiction and there wasn't so much stigma, then somebody who's struggling can reach out for help without worry. They can say to somebody, I need help. I can't get off drugs. Right? And what would we do? We would direct them in the right place. We don't have to keep it shameful. So again, reminder, June 18th, please, please, please check out your local area about getting Narcan. There's no shame in it. It's literally could save somebody's life. It's first come, first serve. I think it's a really great thing that the state of New Jersey is doing, and I really hope that other states get on board and do the same thing. I don't know. I'm really excited. I hope that, we start seeing more and more people less and less afraid to talk. So I hope you guys all have a wonderful weekend. If you'd like to support what I'm doing, please join my Patreon. I upload new videos there occasionally throughout the month. I'm a little bit more personal on there than I can be on YouTube. I share some blog style stuff about what I'm going through or plans I have for the channel. You'll always be the first to know. And don't forget, every Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live, we do a game of trivia. So I hope you all have a great weekend. Please like this video on your way out. If you're not subscribed, please do so. It helps me in a big way. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. See you soon. Bye, guys.